Hello all, welcome back once again to another chapter of the Advanced Project Management Certification. As always, I'm your host, Ibby Taylor. Now this time we're talking about procurement. The procurement of things, goods, services, resource, anything from an external party that you have to get hold of, you have to procure. So procurement management is the systematic process of planning, executing and monitoring the acquisition of goods, services, or works from external sources to meet project objectives. It's a critical component of project management that ensures resources are delivered on time, align with quality standards, and stay within budget. Now, this process involves understanding procurement cycles, identifying suitable vendors to work with, negotiate contracts, and manage stakeholder relationships, all of which contribute, of course, to a project's success. Now, the procurement lifecycle refers to the stages involved in acquiring goods or services. These sequence of steps ensure a structured approach to procurement, improving efficiency and transparency. So the key stages are planning your procurement, vendor identification, pre-qualification of your vendors, and then an RFP or an RFQ, so a request for a proposal or a quotation. So planning your procurement, during that stage, you need to identify the needs of the project. What do you actually need? And a procurement plan is created. So if the project involves implementing construction works, then a procurement manager might outline key materials like cement, steel, estimate costs and draft timelines for delivery. How much is it going to cost us? Where are we going to get it from? How long is it going to take? Then you've got to work out where you're going to get it from, your vendors. So your vendors are going to be evaluated based on capabilities, reputation and compliance with your project requirements. For example, for procuring a cloud service provider, you would check for certifications like ISO 27001, for data security and customer testimonials of that vendor. You would do your research and a deep dive of the vendors you're going to work with. And then organizations invite vendors to submit proposals or quotations showcasing how they meet the project's needs. Tools like proposal templates and scoring matrices may be used to compare vendor submissions. Normally, standard practice is you go out to 3 different vendors. 3 is kind of the golden number. Once you've identified the vendors that you want to work with, you would go out to 3 and say, okay, I want to work with you. Give me a quote, but more importantly, let me know how you're going to benefit me in other ways as well. Because price is only one aspect. You might be looking at the quality of goods, the speed of shipping, and the ease of working with them, the communication channels between you and the vendor should you need anything. What is their customer service like? It goes so much deeper than just price. So evaluation and selection. You're then going to assess using criteria such as cost, delivery timeline, flexibility and technical capacity. So selecting a supplier offering flexible delivery terms during seasonal variances ensures minimal disruption to operations. Like I said, it goes further than just cost. Now the most suitable vendor is then awarded the contract, and you would negotiate and award the contract. Now the terms, so payment schedule, delivery benchmarks are then negotiated. How much are you going to cost? When do you need paying for it? Do I have 30 days, 45 days on this? When are you going to give it to me? What are the benchmarks we're working with in order to define success of this relationship of supplier into you? What do they need to do in order to satisfy that contract? So you can have fixed price, cost plus, or time and materials is then chosen based on project dynamics. You then need to administer it. There's obviously ongoing monitoring of vendor performance. You need to ensure adherence to the contract terms. If you set something out for that vendor to maintain, you need to make sure they maintain it. If they promise a certain price point and then a week later the price changes, something's gone wrong, something needs to happen. If they promise when you raise an order, they'll have it to you within 48 hours, and every single order is then 72 hours, again, it brings up these red flags so that you can then address them, and allows you to address variances promptly if they arise. So tracking SLAs and service level agreements for outsourced IT support regularly validates compliance with uptime guarantees. So what are the promises made? Are they being kept? And then closure and lessons learned. Once you've had delivery from them, just as if you are delivering something, they are delivering to you. For them, selling something to you is going to be almost like a project on their side. So it has a project closure and a lessons learned. Once you've gone and bought something, you've procured something, It's then on you to evaluate that, look at the effectiveness, document the learnings for next projects. Did anything bad happen? Did the cost change? Did the delivery times keep slipping? Was their customer service not what was anticipated? How can we then use this knowledge that we've learned and build in contingency, or maybe we don't work with them, we find a different supplier, or we bring it up to them and say, right, if we go forward on another project, these are the things we need to change. Use those lessons learned, make changes for the benefit of your next project. So key methods for procurement. There's things like competitive bidding, which is used for transparent selection among multiple vendors. So government infrastructure projects often mandates competitive bidding to ensure accountability and cost effectiveness. Go out to multiple parties. Play them off against each other, because competition drives betterment. Direct procurement, directly engaging with a vendor for specialist requirements. So procuring patented medical devices from the original equipment manufacturer. So you go OEM, you go straight to the source. If you're putting in a new network, for example, if you're big enough, you can go straight to Cisco. Get them involved, go all the way up the chain. Framework agreements establishes pre-negotiated terms with suppliers for repetitive purchases. So retail chains often secure supplier contracts for regular stock replenishments. If it's something you're going to be doing often, have something in place whereby it's a framework. Each new store becomes its own standardized template for delivery. And then e-procurement incorporates software tools to streamline procurement. So using SAP Ariba, for example, to automate supplier auditing. Maintain transparent records of transactions. Make sure you keep all information. Now, fundamentals of contract management. So contract management is pivotal to enforcing procurement agreements. It involves drafting, executing, and overseeing the contracts throughout a project's lifecycle. So common types of contracts that you're going to come across. Fixed price contracts. If you've got a well-defined scope, you know exactly what you need, you go and get it and you settle on a price. So landscape architecture contracts, the fixed agreement clarifies all design costs upfront and avoids overruns due to changes. So if you can clearly identify the scope and what you need, and it's very clear, for example, I'm building this house, I need 2,000 bricks. That's it. I know I need 2,000 bricks. I need a fixed price on 2,000 bricks. Cost reimbursement contracts. So this is when a charge is based on actual costs incurred. So R&D, research and development projects leverage this for better alignment between variable scope changes and funding. When things are changing, you come in and you say, right, I'm going to pay £20,000 for this, but if I don't spend it all, there's got to be a reimbursement. I've got to get that back. Time and materials based on hourly rates or materials consumed. So IT debugging services often use this to flexibly allocate technical support ongoing over duration. So with a T&M contract, it's about how much you use. Contract essentials, payment terms, advance versus installments, performance KPIs, breach protocols, and intellectual property clauses are critical. So you need to have those standard definitions and those things outlined within the contract. So risk management. So procurement risks, they do exist. They can arise from supply chain disruptions, cost escalations, or contract breaches. If you've put something in place with a supplier and they're not meeting what you require of them, it is going to be a risk and it could potentially put your project at risk. So diversify suppliers to reduce dependence or mitigate underperformance. So having multiple suppliers on hand. So if you've done your due diligence and you went out to 3 different competing providers for a quote, if your chosen supplier completely fluffs it and the contract is then null and void and you have to go elsewhere, you'll have two quotes from competing companies ready to go. Monitoring market volatility is always huge. So you need to adjust your procurement schedules based on material price fluctuations, leveraging futures contracts where appropriate. So, costs are constantly changing, especially on raw materials for things. Even when you're buying IT equipment, the cost of the memory that goes into computers can go up because there's a shortage of silicon, and it's just something that happens. You have to be prepared for these things. Now, modern procurement prioritizes ethical and environmentally conscious practices. Focus on green vendors that use eco-friendly materials or energy-efficient practices, and incorporate corporate social responsibility or CSR parameters into your supplier assessments. Applications, once again, there's going to be 10 of these. We'll go through the first one. And then you're going to take this away and think about procurement and how that was used and managed effectively in these examples in order to lead to the outcome that you see. So the first one is construction projects. So effective procurement is critical in construction projects due to the high dependency on materials, contractors and equipment. So the application is ensuring the timely delivery of foundational materials, steel, concrete and machinery by securing contracts with competitive bidding strategies. So you've done the legwork. You've outlined exactly what you need. You've found the right suppliers at the right price to do the right thing at the right time. And you've used procurement planning tools like Microsoft Projects and RFP scoring matrices to shortlist reliable vendors. So you've done the legwork. You've made sure that your suppliers are trustworthy, they're at the right price, they're able to deliver exactly what you need. Pre-qualifying suppliers ensures compliance with safety and regulatory standards, minimizing project delays. This is what happens when you put the planning in and the time to manage effectively. Have a look through the rest. Have a look at the other examples and how procurement management is applied across various sectors and various projects. Now, once you've had a look at these, as always, you will get to the summary tables. Give these a quick read through. Double check your own understanding of procurement. And then, of course, as always, there is no practice questions on this one. So just give that a read, check your own understanding, and ensure that you know what you're doing. Any questions, any queries, as always, reach out to us. That did throw me off guard. I did not know that there were no practice questions on this one. But check your own understanding, have a read through. Any questions, any queries, by all means, as always, reach out to us and let us know. We are here to help and support you and guide you through on this journey. So thank you very much for your time. I've been your host, Ibby Taylor. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.